Friday. It's my EDO today. It should have been last week, but it ended up getting moved. So I'm home in the kitchen for this morning. I have plans this afternoon. But I thought I'd do some baking in honor of St. Patrick's Day since it's a week out from today. And as many of you know, I was born in Ireland and I go back periodically, not as much as I'd like to, but Mom and I went back prior to 2020. I think we went back in 2018, 2019, and we stayed for like 3 weeks. It was fantastic. So every time we go back, my cousins and aunts are the most thoughtful people, and they get together and do different things with us. Everyone kind of takes a turn trolleying us about. So one of my favorite things, my Auntie Anna and my cousin Maria brought me to the Avoca Cafe, which if you ever get to visit Ireland, that is just like a must stop. All the food is fantastic. It's usually set in some sort of beautiful setting, like there's one at Malahide Castle. And they have a gift shop you can walk around, do all the things in. Anyway, so we went there for lunch. Well, I've been there several times, but picked up this Avoca Cafe cookbook. My aunt bought it for me. So inside there's a ton of Irish, like traditional Irish recipes. And then another time, this was maybe on our honeymoon, I can't remember. My cousin Evelyn gave me this traditional Irish cookbook, and my cousin Cora took us around. Everyone knows I'm into like building and design and all the things. So Cora took us around to this development that was under construction that they were part of. And we stopped in this little mom and pop shop for lunch, and you literally had to duck in. It had a thatched roof. You had to duck down to go in the door. It was the coolest place, but they were serving brown bread, which if you know anything about Ireland, brown bread is an Irish staple. It's a denser bread and it doesn't use yeast. Anyway, you can eat it traditionally. I would eat it with butter and jam, but in this little cafe, I don't even know, like a little sandwich shop, they ate it with ham and Irish cheese, which you have not lived until you have ducked through a doorway into a small little Irish restaurant, lunch place, and eaten a brown bread Sammy. So I created my own recipe. In Ireland, they weigh all their measurements for baking, which feels overwhelming when you take a recipe home, but it actually is pretty simple when you convert it. So I have converted, there's 2 brown bread recipes in these cookbooks, and I've converted them into like a Canadian, it's simple. It's wheat, it's baking soda, it's cream of tartar, it's buttermilk. I'll show you. And when you're done, the result is similar to the sourdough craze that went on during the pandemic. So it's a round loaf, and you cut a big X in it I don't know, why do they do that traditionally? Someone Irish want to jump in and let us know. But it's just the softest, freshest, heartiest loaf. And so I thought I'd share it with you early if you wanted to make some for your own St. Patrick's Day celebration. Okay, so you need a big bowl. Like this is a stoneware bowl. It doesn't have to be that, but if it could be a big bread bowl, that's fantastic. You need 3 cups of whole wheat flour, 3 cups of white flour. You need 3 teaspoons of baking soda. You need a really healthy pinch of cream of tartar, buttermilk, 2 sticks of butter, and some salt and sugar. And then I milled this from hard red spring wheat. I milled 2 cups, and I end up getting 3 cups plus a little bit, which I'll keep because you need to flour your pans and knead the bread out. So here's the pastry masher, and all you're gonna do is mash into the flour mixture, the butter or margarine, whatever works, and just until it's like kind of pie dough consistency, which I'll show you. You can use your hands too. which is actually probably the best way to do it. But this gives you, you want it to be the consistency of peas. Like, you don't want big lumps of butter. You want your butter to be kind of broke down. Super simple. This is the easiest recipe to make. One of my brothers has mastered it. The other one's like, I don't know. He said he just can't get it right. But I'll show you a trick. Okay, here it is. This is the consistency you want your dough to be. Your flour mixture. Okay, this is the consistency you're looking for. See how there's a couple of butter chunks that are a little bit bigger, but most are flattened down into the size of peas. From this point, you're gonna add in your sugar and just mix that in. And then the buttermilk. So, okay, last but not least, I add in the buttermilk. So I use a 1 liter jug of buttermilk for a double recipe. And then sometimes I have to top it up, which isn't a big deal. I just use regular milk or water. If you wanted to make your own buttermilk, you would just add a teaspoon of vinegar into some regular milk. But it's better with this, I don't know why. So traditionally when I first started making this, I would add in like all the milk and then make it to a like kind of a thicker doughy consistency. But my Auntie Eileen actually said the trick is to make it a little less dense and then spoon it into like your dish. You get a better, lighter loaf that rises. So I'll show you what she meant. So this is kind of the consistency you're looking for. It's almost like cookie dough. And traditionally then you would take it out, you would knead it on a floured surface, but I like Auntie Eileen's method. Okay, here we go. So I'll show you. It's kind of become one big ball, and it's at this point that it's dry enough. Like you don't want it really wet or else you can't get that consistency that you're looking for to make the big X. Okay, here's the consistency we're looking for. So traditionally then you would take this ball out onto a floured surface and then you would just knead it a bunch of times to like activate the gluten. But I like Auntie Eileen's version, and she said just spoon it in. Like make sure it's really well mixed and then spoon it by big spoonfuls into your dish and you'll get a lighter, I don't know, like it's full of air. I'm not sure. She didn't actually explain, but we're gonna roll with it. Okay. See, I'm just taking it by big spoonfuls. And I'm trying to keep it somewhat even. Because this is a whole wheat bread, it's kind of hard to tell like the golden doneness. You almost need to tap the loaf and wait for the hollow sound. So it can be a little bit tricky. You know what? I might be getting 4 little loaves out of this. We'll see. Or 3 extra big ones. Robin Peter to pay Paul here. Okay, here we go. want to make sure I use up all of this. All right, they're in. And you can see they kind of have a rough, really artisanal quality, which also makes them super cool. Now, for the piece de resistance, you're just going to make a large X in the dough. This doesn't have to be fancy. I don't know why this is, if it lets the steam escape or what. I'm going to Google that. Okay. There we go. Here they are. Throw them in the oven. And then you're going to bake them for at 350 for about 45 minutes. But because I made them smaller, I'm going to check on them after about 30 minutes and see how they are. So to be continued. They turned out so good. There's 1, 2, and 3. So you know they're done. Can you hear that? They have like a hollow sound. Okay, they are done. They look awesome. So, as you can see, they get like really big, and you eat them. You can slice them into, like, because this is a smaller loaf, you can slice them into bread slices, but normally you would follow those big incisions, like the big quarters, and then you would quarter them. So this is what we're gonna have for lunch, and I can't wait.